Hey everybody! Welcome to the Crafty Chemist. If you hop on, say hi so I know you're here. If you're watching the replay, say #replay. Let me share this to the group. What's everybody doing on this Sunday? Hi. Hi, Mom. Hi, Julie. I'm going to lift this up just slightly. Hi. Hi, Don. Trying to make it so you can see most of the, there we go, see most of the page. What's everybody doing today? I have been, well, I don't know if you can see my fingers, but I have been stenciling all day. Using some new products, making some samples. So I'm sorry if my fingers are a little bit green or blue. Still purging stuff. I mean, that's a good thing about moving, is that it is a time to purge. I know it's a pain, but it's kind of nice once you're done. And I know I purged when I packed, and then I purged when I unpacked. So kind of 2 levels of purging. And then after I was in the new house, just seeing how everything fit, if I needed to purge more. So I purged a 3rd time. So I am back in town, back in the country. Sorry that I couldn't go live for my demo last week. Hopefully you were able to watch the video that I recorded, the process video on making the mix-in paper layout, because it is such a cute layout, and it's a great layout for scraps. So hopefully you got to watch that. You're cleaning and sorting the craft room. So how's that going? Are you guys going to be able to move into that soon, or still ways to go? And I'd like to see what you got from the Walt Disney World 1986. Maybe Dee could use it in her scrapbook. Did she finish her 1986 Walt Disney World scrapbook yet? So, if you're watching, and if you don't know, I was in Africa last week. That's why I could not really go live. The electricity there is very unstable. It goes out, several times a night, and the Wi-Fi is not good. That goes out every 10 minutes or so, it seems like. I just knew it couldn't support Facebook Live. I did go live, not doing the demo, but just saying hi. So, but I'm back. Back from the trip. And safe. I'm safe and sound. I couldn't really say anything while I was there. It's not really safe to say that, to say where you are, but now that I'm home, I can. And I'm still kind of on Africa time. I woke up at 4 a.m., which is later. The first night I woke up at 2. The second day I woke up at 3. Today I woke up at 4. So I'm still trying to get back on track. So, okay, why don't we get started? Yeah, me too, Don, me too. You have no idea how different it is there. It's an experience, let me tell you. I'm grateful to have been able to go there. I think I've been there 3 times now. 3 or 4, 3 or 4 times. So, but I'll tell you, I appreciate shower. I appreciate a shower. I appreciate hot water. I appreciate water that you could use to brush your teeth, you know, and not get sick. And I appreciate chocolate, desserts, I guess, of any kind. There's a lot of things I appreciate. So, hi Diana. So today I am going to show you how to sew on your scrapbook. So this is the layout that we're going to make. So even if you don't intend to sew on your scrapbook, you can still make this layout. And I also have a few ideas that you can use if you don't have a sewing machine, or if you don't want to sew. You know, there's some other ideas. So go ahead and craft along, even if you don't intend to sew on your scrapbook. But I've been wanting to do this a while. I have done it previously, not as a live, but in my own personal layouts. One thing that I used to do for the kids' school albums, and I should see if I can get one out. For the kids' school albums, I used to make like a big 12 by 12 pocket page to put in there, like, I don't know, report cards, papers, you know, various things that you want to keep in their school book. And I would put adhesive around the, you know, edges to keep the pocket, you know, on the page. But then after a while, I realized that the papers were getting kind of stuck in the glue, you know, from a tape runner or whatever. And it would, you know, it would be hard to get them out, or it would get stuck and it would rip, those sorts of things. And so what I started to do is, for my pocket page, I would just sew along, you know, the 3 sides of the pocket. And then there was no adhesive for the papers to get stuck on. And it worked a lot better. So that was when I really started sewing on my scrapbooks. But that's been a long time because the kids haven't been in school for a long time. Okay, so let's get started with this page. The base page is shortbread. So let me find some shortbread. I'm going to move this over like this. Oh, you know what? Before I start, I did want to show you, I am using the new Cozy Up paper. This is the August collection. So let me show you that paper. So this is the collection. It's a beautiful fall themed collection, but it has some cute twists to it, in that it has sort of a book theme, like cozy up with a good book. And then tea. So, you know, like you're going to cozy up with, you know, your Pride and Prejudice and a cup of Earl Grey and just sit down and read, you know, by the fireplace or something like that. That's kind of what I get from this. The colors are really gorgeous. They are desert rose, scarlet, rosemary, sage, pine, honey butter, paprika, toffee, shortbread, and mocha. So, those are the colors, you know, a traditional sort of fall theme, autumn theme. And this is what the paper pack looks like. So you can see the pumpkins here. So let me show you the paper. This one is scarlet, but it has the striping. I'm not sure if you can really see, but it's got a subtle stripe on there. And I don't even know if I would say stripe, but it's almost like a grain, like a wood grain. And then the back is this gorgeous mocha plaid. I love this. Love, love, love that. This is an overall small leaf pattern, shortbread with some small leaves. And then this one is paprika. This is a paprika, and it has some words. So the design is made with words, and here it says, autumn wishes, pumpkin kisses, falling leaves, books to read. Autumn wishes, pumpkin kisses, falling leaves, book to read. And it's just a repeat of that. So I'm not sure if you can see it, but it is on there. And then this last one, you really get to see the book theme. You've got the books here, an open book, and glasses. And then you can also see the teacup here. So it's really cute. And on the back is the pumpkin themed. And I really love these pumpkins. You can see that it's got desert rose, honey butter, pumpkin, paprika pumpkin, and then a scarlet pumpkin. I really like those. So that is the paper that we're going to use. And then the sticker sheet. Here's a sticker sheet. I have used some of them. You can see I used a cornucopia. I'm probably going to use this for my Thanksgiving pages. That's why I went with a pumpkin theme. Some other things that it has is, it's got the teacup or the teapot, but it's got like some jam, some cups, and then mushrooms. I really like the addition of the mushrooms. It's really, really cute. And there was a snail. I think I used a snail on one of my pages. And then I love this, this sticker going across the bottom with all the books on the bookshelf. I would love paper that looked like that. So many books, so little time. Oh, you weren't a good Desert Rose fan? I actually like Desert Rose. It's kind of like a rose gold to me. In fact, I would use that in place of rose gold. I had Desert Rose. What is it called? Shimmer trim. And it's like rose gold, and you almost can't tell the difference. Here are the coordinating cardstock. Remember that Close to My Heart does have a curated set of coordinating cardstock to go with the collection. Desert Rose isn't in this one though, so but you can throw it in because, like I said, with these pumpkins, you really can use it. Yeah, I love the this collection of colors. But you know what? Fall is my favorite time of year because my birthday month is in the fall. So I just love the fall. So the colors for the coordinating cardstock are white daisy, mocha, paprika, shortbread, rosemary, and scarlet. So I'm going to, sort of take from this color palette today. I'm going to use the shortbread. But if you get the coordinating cardstock, you get 12 sheets, 2 of each of these 6 colors. And remember that our paper is two-sided, so there is a dark side and a light side. And then the last thing in the collection that I have that I want to show you are the dots. So each of our collections has some kind of embellishment, and the embellishments for this one are dots. Let's see. And what's nice about these ones is the circles are sort of glitter, but the other ones are not. So the hearts are not, and the stars are not. But you have scarlet, paprika, and I don't know what color you consider that. Scarlet, paprika, and toffee. Yeah, toffee. I was like, that wasn't one of the colors listed, I guess, but that is toffee. So we're going to use these two. I'm always glad when they have fall themed papers because, you know, I have so many pictures in the fall. I want to point out the digital art. The digital art is really nice. I like this layout that's already created for you. You know, you just have to hit make and put the paper on your mats and you can make this. There's 2 cards. I love this slimline card that says "You are my cup of tea." I love it. And then "Thankful for you." This is a nice, it would be a nice easy card if you want to send Thanksgiving cards. But what I wanted to point out are these pumpkins. These pumpkins are made to be 3-dimensional. So I don't have this collection, but I saw a maker, a card that she made with these. And it's like, you know those decorations you can get at like Party City, that we have one that's a turkey and you can like open it up and it's got like that honeycomb paper, and it makes a 3-dimensional sort of thing. Like on ours, the turkey, it's like around his belly. It's like that 3-dimensional honeycomb. That's what the pumpkin looks like to me. So it looks like, you know, you're opening up this pumpkin and it's got the different layers. So I'm not sure how you put it together because, like I said, I don't have that, but I did see it on a card and it's really amazing. Hey Vicky, hope you had a good day. We're just about to start making this layout. Okay, so that's the Cozy Up collection. There are other parts, and I'm going to show you those at a different time. So I'll talk about those later. Okay? Okay, so now, as I was starting to say before, let's get our shortbread paper as a base. So just get whatever color base paper you want. Okay, and then let's do it this way. Then you need a piece of pattern paper. So this pattern paper here, my pumpkins it's 5 inches wide by 12. So let me get my ruler in case somebody's on mute. So you can see this pumpkin paper is 5 inches. Okay, 5 inches. So cut a piece of pattern paper for this side, that's 5 inches. So here's the other pattern paper. Let me cut this at 5 inches. I could have used this side with the books, it's so cute, but since I'm going to use it for Thanksgiving, I'm gonna stick with the pumpkins. Okay, I am going to put it on the left side since I already have one on the right side. I hope that's not confusing to you. I hope that's okay. Should be pretty easy. I mean, it's not too confusing. Okay, so I'm putting this right up against the edge. And since it's 5 by 12, it's going to go from top to bottom and 5 inches across. Okay. Okay, so now let's look at this piece. This is that scarlet piece that has sort of the wood grain. This piece is 8.5 So 8.5 by 11. 8.5 by 11. Okay. Now, I personally would select a non-busy paper, okay, like this one here, because then I think you can see the stitching better on that, you know, this, it's not solid, but it's a very subtle design. So if you want the stitching to stand out, I mean, if you're going to the effort of, you know, stitching on your layout, you want people to notice it. So I would pick something that is kind of plain, so that the stitching doesn't get lost in the design. You can kind of see on the pumpkin side, you can't notice it quite as much as on the red, this red side, okay? Also, I think that having a darker paper, if you're going to use just plain white thread or whatever, the darker color paper makes it easier to see the stitching. Now, when you're sewing like a dress or something, you obviously want to use thread that's about the same color as your material. But in this case, I like the contrast so that, again, you can definitely see it. Okay, so now gotta find the pattern paper. Okay, here we go. So here's the pattern paper, and I'm going to cut it 8.5. And on mine, since the pattern is going up and down, and I want the pattern to be going up and down, I'm going to be cutting the 8.5 right going this way, and then the 11 going this way. So you might want to think about the orientation of your paper as you're cutting it. If it has a direction, then think about which way you want to be up and down and which way you want to be across. Okay, so then I'm going to adhere this down, and I would, if you're going to use your sewing machine, I would not put your adhesive right along the edge, which I haven't been lately because I can't get this stupid ATG to be right up against the edge. Normally I like to do that, but with the ATG I haven't. But you want to leave a little bit of space for the sewing, because you don't want adhesive in there, because it will get your needle on your machine gunked up, which won't be great when you go to actually use it to sew material. Okay, so leave a little bit of space, non-adhesive around the edge for you. Okay, so this is 8.5 by 11, and what I'm going to do is sort of center it. So since it's 11, you're going to have a 1/2 inch on top and 1/2 inch on bottom, and so I'm going to position it so there's also a 1/2 inch on the right. Okay, and I'm just eyeballing it using my Versamat. Okay. How many people have a sewing machine? Who has a sewing machine? I have my sewing machine out all the time. Okay, so now we're going to start sewing. And if you can see on this set, I'm sewing around the this red, the scarlet block. Okay, so you can see maybe on the back how it goes. And I'm sewing it with the zigzag. Okay. If you prefer, you could sew a straight stitch. If I did the straight stitch, then I would have done it along this red side, obviously not on the pumpkin side. You want it to be on inside on the the red side. But I'm going to use a zigzag stitch. You have several sewing machines, Diana? Good for you. Okay, so I'm going to move over to my sewing machine, which I have right here next to me. So I'm going to take this out of the holder. Got my sewing machine right here. And I've got my other stand here. So I'm hoping to be able to, so you can see. Okay, sorry if it's a little, there we go. There we go. Okay. Can you see that okay? Let me know. Okay. I gotta turn my setup here a second. Ooh. Okay. So, I am just using regular, my regular thread. I use this Gutermann thread. Is it Gutermann? I don't know. That's what I call it, Gutermann thread. That's what I prefer. That's what I prefer when I sew clothes. So this is a big piece of the Gutermann. There you go. So this is what I like. And then I'm going to set it, so look at my stitches. Okay. So push the zigzag. So you have to know how to push the zigzag on your machine. Every machine is different. I've got the Singer Quantum Stylus 9960. And then I did sort of, make it kind of wide and long as I could. If you make the stitches too close together when you're sewing on paper, it can just tear the paper. Not really tear the paper, but it perforates the paper so much that it kind of just tears, right? So if the stitches are too close together, then you can it will tear your paper. So I do it, kind of as far apart as you can. Okay. So I can see on mine right now that my stitch is coming down on the left side of the zigzag. And now you have to think about the zigzag. You want the one edge of the zigzag to be on the red, and then the other part of the zigzag to be on the pumpkin. Okay? So you're going to have to kind of center it. And so pay attention to where your needle's going down, if it's going to be on the left or the right, and position your paper accordingly. Okay? So I have it down. So I put the needle down, and I'm going to put the foot down. And I'm going to go really slowly, especially at first, to make sure that, again, the left side of the zigzag is on the red and the right side is on my pumpkin, and then over here is going to be on the shortbread, okay? So you have to go kind of slowly. Let's see if I can get this to... See, I turn my light around a little bit. Maybe you can see it more. Okay. I don't know if you can see it close enough. Okay, and then I'm just gonna start. And I don't backstitch or do anything like that on the paper. I might do that if I was sewing material, but you don't have to worry about it so much. I do try to minimize the overlapping on the paper, because it stands out, and I think it doesn't look that great. So as you're going, make sure that, again, the left side of the zigzag is on the red, or whatever your 8.5 by 11 paper is, and then the right side is on the pumpkin or the pattern paper. And so basically I am trying to keep on my, I don't know if you can see on mine, I've actually got my walking foot on there right now, which you don't necessarily need to have that, but you see how it's split down the middle? I'm trying to keep the edge of my paper right down the center like that to help me. And you see just how slowly I'm going? I am speeding up a little bit, but the faster you go, you know, the harder it is to keep it centered. And this is something that you do want to try and center because you can see it. Although, you know, maybe it's just me that it would bother me if it wasn't centered. Okay, so I'm at the end, and so this is where we're going to have to think about turning it. Okay, so I'm going to go one step here. Okay, and then I'm going to lift up my foot and turn it. And you see, I did it in such a way that now my needle is on the left side on the red, and the red is centered on the in between in my walking foot. Okay, and I'm just going to start sewing again. So that makes a nice clean angle. You won't always be able to get such a nice turn like that. Try and keep my other hand out of the way so you can see. I can't really look at my computer screen and make sure you're seeing this very well because I'm trying to keep an eye on the... Okay, again, I'm at the edge. I'm going to turn it. And start going again. Now, if this is your first time or if you're not a great sewer, I would start your start the seam in a place, a less obvious place. Like I maybe should have chosen the bottom like left or something. I chose the top right so it's going to be front and center, but that's okay. Okay, just turn the corner. And you can see this goes really fast. Again, just make sure you're keeping it centered so that the left side is on my red print and the right side is on the pumpkin print. Okay, now I'm back to the beginning, and this is where you're going to have to figure out what you want to do. I'm gonna do a turn. Okay. And you could, I mean, if you wanted to, you could go back, but I'm not. There. You'll see what I mean. I wanted to show you what it's going to look like when I go back. Okay, and then I'm just going to tie it off. Okay, so there you go. I don't know if you can see the sewing. But can you see what I'm talking about with the perforation? You can see if they're too close together, that could, it could get perforated and then rip your paper. Okay, so I'm going to go back over to the other side. So I'm going to move the camera again. Let's see. Sorry if this gives you a headache. Okay. So my zigzag was 5.5 and 2.5. So 5.5 was, I think, going left to right, and then the 2.5 was up and down. So, okay. So now I'm going to trim the threads. So, and I'm going to cut it right at the paper. Right at the paper. On the back, I might leave a little bit. And if you're really concerned, you can kind of, that's it, just maybe hair these down so that it won't come loose. Okay. Okay, so down here is where I started. I don't know. Hey, Michelle. Okay, so I'm going to just show you close what it looks like. See, not pretty good. So here's where I joined, so you can see it's a little, not messy, but I mean, you can definitely tell there's a joint there. Okay? Okay. So, let me put my photo placeholders down. So these photos are 3.5 by 5. So 3.5 by 5. Okay, they're not 4 by 6, they're 3.5 by 5 in order to fit, you know, both on the paper. Okay. Okay, so let's put these down. And then we'll talk, before I decorate it, we'll talk about other options if you don't have a sewing machine. Yeah, so again, these are 3.5 by 5. And I'm just kind of centering them. And you can see that, remember when I said not to put the adhesive right up against the edge? So my needle really did not go into any adhesive on the, you know, on the needle. So I'm not too worried about that. Okay, so here's a couple ideas if you are following along and you don't have a sewing machine or you don't want to sew on it. Here's a couple ideas. And this is kind of what made me think about it. I purchased the new Close to My Heart T-square. I don't know, several months ago. I love it. It keeps, you know, keeps my things straight on my layouts and everything. But one day I was noticing, let me see if I can get a color on the background. I was noticing on the T-square, can you see here? The T-square has got these, they're like openings, right? And there's a little zigzag on there. I don't know if you can see, but there's a red line that's connecting these dots. So the dots on the left, there's a like an extra one, and you can see there's twice as many openings on the left or the top than there are on the bottom. I don't know if you can see that. Okay, there we go. Okay, but there's some lines connected, and I was like, wow, that's so amazing that this would be great for sewing on your layout. So if you don't have a sewing machine, how many people have like hand sewn or handmade poked holes in the paper before? Anybody do that? Let me get some paper. So let's use this. Okay, so if you don't have a sewing machine and you have the T-square, this is something you can also use. So I'm just going to show you how it looks. Let's do it over here. It's closer, and I might come in closer. I'm going to put this down. Don, you've hand done it on the paper. Okay, so there's a couple things you could do with this. One thing is, here's my pencil, and I tried it. It does work. Oh, I just broke the lead. This is obviously lead. So I'm just going to, in each of the holes, these are open holes, I'm going to do the zigzag. Okay, so if you have the T-square, you can make your own zigzag. I mean, even if you don't have the T-square, you can kind of, I mean, you're not going to get as nice of a, this is really a precise zigzag. They are very tight together. I wish it wasn't quite so many. Okay. I'm still going. So I know, I mean, before I had this, and if I would hand stitch on a page or something, you know, you just kind of freeform it. It's fine. But this will make it look almost like you had a machine. I'm almost there, guys. I'm almost there. Probably don't need to go all the way up, but I'm not really going to sew on this, but I guess I could. Okay, let's see. Oh, you can't see it. You can't see it that well on here. Okay, second attempt. I don't know, maybe that lead wasn't down enough. I'm going to poke it. Okay. I'm going to take my pokey tool. Let's do it with a pokey tool. This is how I've done it in the past. I've taken a pokey tool and you can just poke down. Actually, I'm going to turn this over on this side so that I can actually poke through. Okay. And this is not, okay, I have it lined up. So I'm just going to poke through. Now before I go too far, I should probably check, but I can feel it poking, so I think it's going to be okay. So this is what I would do, is I would just kind of poke some holes through. Also, they do make those, it's kind of like a, you know those Fiskars, not a trimmer, but a, what do you call it? It's a roller that you can, you use it to cut fabric. But they make one that has a perforated blade. Does anybody have any of those with a perforated blade? I'll show you what I'm talking about here in a second. Although mine is not a perforated blade, but you can do that. So if you have that, you can just roll it, on your paper. I'm almost there. the holes are really small, so that you wouldn't be able to mark it with a regular pencil, but you could with that lead pencil. Okay, I don't know if you can see, but can you see the, let me see if I can shine the light on it. It is poked. I wish I could get a good, wow, I don't know why you can't see it on here, but, oh, there, maybe right there. Can you see the holes there? You can see it's in a nice zigzag. Okay, so you can use that with the pokey tool for the zigzag. And now I just have my regular, my regular needle and thread. And then right, you can just hand sew it. And since these holes are poked, it's really easy to go through the paper because the holes are already poked. If you don't have the holes already poked, it might be a little bit harder. The one issue here is you have to kind of go a couple rounds because you can't come back up in the hole that you just went down in, or obviously it would fall apart. And so you have to go up. Whoops. You have to, like, I'm gonna go up one way, and then I will come back down the other way to make a true zigzag. I don't know if you can see what I'm talking about. What is the We Are Memory Keeper So Easy product? Tell me about it. What's it like? And I was not watching what I was doing, and I got a little knot here. My thread is pretty long. I normally wouldn't have my thread be this long, but I wanted to. This is why sewing with your machine is a lot easier, guys. I should have been watching what I was doing. This is perfectly fine. But hopefully you get the idea. I just gotta undo this somehow. Get the knot out. But, so you can hand do it with your needle and thread and go all the way up and down. I actually would. I'm gonna. Let's just try it again. Hopefully you'll be able, I'm only gonna go a little ways. Okay, but I hope you can see what I'm talking about, where you have to go like I have to go up in one direction. See how all of these are going in the same, they're going to be going in the same direction. And then when I come back down, I'll just do maybe 2 more so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. And it's a little bit hard this way. Like, this is not ideal. Like, I probably, if I had to do this by hand, I probably wouldn't do it. Because, I mean, maybe, but I would maybe go back and make these holes a little bit bigger so it's easier to see. Yeah, I'm using the needle. But hand drawing is another option. It's going to be one of the other things that I say. Okay, so pretend I went all the way up, and now I want to come back down and go the other direction. And so now I'm going to complete the zigzag. Okay. And again, you have to kind of look, I do have to look at each one to get it. I sewed with my machine, but I'm showing you other options, and if you don't have a machine, you still can do this. Okay, so you can kind of see the zigzag here. Right? Can you? I thought you could see it pretty good on orange, but there you go. So that's a pretty, so you get the idea, right? You could sew all around. Okay, so that I did using the the T-square and using this. And you can see that it really leads to a nice, they really look like almost perfect chevrons, right? Evenly spaced and, you know, and everything. Okay. Another thing that you could do is, and let's see, is just do a regular back stitch, right? You don't have to do the chevron, the zigzag. You can just do a regular back stitch. And so I'll just go here in the middle. You don't have to poke these holes if you're doing a regular chevron, but just go up one, down, and then and if you're not trying to get it in the holes, you don't have to really pay attention, but oops. Okay. Should tape it down on. Okay. So I did one stitch. I'm going to go kind of farther away. Make sure I'm not going. Okay. And then coming back. So I'm just doing like a regular back stitch. Okay, and then just keep doing that all the way around. Okay, so this is just a straight stitch, you know, a straight back stitch. This is what I would do on like a hem of a dress or something like this, you know, just to kind of top stitch it. Okay. So here's another. This is another option. This is a little bit easier. You don't have to worry about, you know, maintaining the chevron. Okay. So you could just do it like this. So this is like just a straight back stitch, and then this is the chevron. Now, if you're doing the chevron, the zigzag, you would want to, I'm not sewing two things together, I'm just trying to show you. But if you're doing the chevron or zigzag, you want to do it so that it's crossing both pieces. If you're doing the back stitch, the straight stitch here, you would do that along on the inside along the red here. Okay. So that's a couple options. So one is using the T-square to mark your chevron and then sewing the chevron, or you can just poke it with your pokey tool and you know, make holes and then do the straight stitch. Like Michelle was saying, you could also just use your pen, right? Which is, we kind of typically do this a lot. We just make it look like stitching by using a pen. Yeah, so that's kind of what I was thinking. There's different designs you can do. I just read Don's description. So this is my Fisker's trimmer. So you see it's got this round blade. This just cuts, right? This doesn't make the holes, but they do have a blade that you can get that pokes the hole. So you could just run it along the edge of your paper like that, and it makes the holes for you. And Don says that there's a brand, We Are Memory Makers. Okay, so then again, the other option is you can just hand stitch. So I'm going to do, I have another page that I just have ready. And I'm just going to hand stitch. So if you don't have a sewing machine, that's fine. Just hand stitch. I mean, it's not exactly the same look, but it gives you the same idea, right? You're trying to say that you're wanting it to look like stitching. I always turn it so that I'm pulling down, because I feel like I get the best straightest lines like that. Okay, so you could do this with a pen. And I think, like I said, this is typically what we do in scrapbooking and card making, but you could do, right, with real sewing. Michelle, I don't know if you were on when I used my machine. I'll show you my layout with the real thread on it. Okay, one more side and then we'll be done. So this is a very similar look and a lot faster. Don, I know that you are moving and have your stuff packed up, but if you have any pictures of layouts you've done with the sewing using that We Are Memory Keepers. I think you did one for your cruise. Didn't you do one for your cruise that you sewed on the layout? Okay. So my the pen, let's see if the pen does. I use the lead pencil, like a thin lead pencil, and that went through, but you couldn't really see the lines very much. Let's see if like this pen goes through. The pokey tool went through. The pokey tool did go through. I don't know if this pen will. Oh gosh, no, and I ripped my pen. I don't recommend that because I just ripped my pen out. Oh, and that's my Le Pen. I love this, so don't use this. Let's see. Oh, I'm out of lead, I think. Oh, there we go. Yeah, see, you can see it. It's really light. I don't know if I'll be able to have you see it, but I would be able to sew using that because I can see it here and here. So you can use the pencil to do it. Okay. Okay, so let's just compare these two. Right here I've done the zigzag around, and this is the same exact layout with different papers that I just did the stitching, which is kind of what we would typically do. Right. Let me put this up again a little bit. I think a straight pen would work because, well, I have my pins here. I've got my pins. Let's try it. This is just a straight pen. Yeah, so if you don't have a pokey tool, yeah, this definitely is working. You can feel it like pop through. So again, I don't know if you can see. I need it so that the light kind of goes through. Well, I don't know if you can see it, but I can definitely see it here, right here. I'll make them maybe a little bit bigger so you can see. But yeah, the straight pin worked. And actually you could probably use a bigger pin than this. Let's try this little safety pin. Once you make the holes, like I don't know that this would fit through on the T-square, but once you've made it, you can go back and make the holes a little bit wider. Okay, yeah, you can kind of see the lines there. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so a safety pin worked. And I made it a little bit bigger with this. But I did use my pokey tool. Okay, so let's just finish this layout. But again, you can do the same layout just by using your regular stitching. You could also, I was thinking, if you use the white gel pen, like this is the white gel pens that we have in the current catalog. I don't know if they're still available or if they're out of stock. But I think if you do this, I was thinking if you use the white pen, you could, since it's white, it would look, I'm just doing it, it's not very good. Oh geez. Since it's white, you get the idea. I don't know if you can see that on there, the chevron. I just did it fast. But if you did it with the white gel pen, it kind of looks like thread, right, instead of the black. Because, I mean, we don't often use black thread. I don't know. I think the white thread would be cute. Okay. So let's just finish with some stickers for our layout. I have the cornucopia here, so maybe I'm going to use this big pumpkin. Yeah, I think I'll use that. Okay, this pumpkin here. Up here I've got these, I've got a leaf. See, I've got a leaf. A mushroom, got a mushroom here. Oh, here's the snail, isn't he cute? And then, do I have another leaf? Another leaf. I've got the feather, but I guess that's for the snail. I don't know, would that be gross for Thanksgiving if I have a snail on here? I've got the feather, but I'll do that. Okay, I'm gonna use the snail. And then for Thanksgiving, maybe I'll just make some escargot. Speaking of snails, they eat snails a lot in Nigeria. So, you know, most of the time what they have is like soup. It's like a thick, more like a stew. And then you pick the protein. And usually snails is one. So it's snail, goat. That's pretty much it. Sometimes chicken, but not always. But they have snails. And they have the most huge snails there. So it's not escargot snails. They're huge snails. Okay, over here. So I did this one. I did this collection here. And then here we've got these little sayings. Grateful, sweetest pie gather. So I use the Thanksgiving kind of ones. I'm not going to probably add these to the other side because I already used all of these. And then the last things I will add are the gems. Okay, so here's the gems. The red, the scarlet is a glitter gem. Maybe I'll put a gold one over here. And then a heart. I don't know then. The paprika heart. I might use a smaller heart. Okay, there we go. So there is my layout with the sewing on it. Yeah, definitely. You can use a color of the pen to do that. Okay, so here we go. Here's the layout. Nice. And on this one, I'll be able to get a lot of pictures, 8 pictures in the layout, which is great. Okay. So again, I just sewed right along the edge of the two pieces. I would recommend, especially if you are hand sewing, you want to minimize the number of layers because it can get hard to sew through it. You might need to use your little thimble, if you have a thimble, to poke through the layers. You know, our papers, the pattern papers are thinner than the cardstock. So I would at most have one piece of cardstock. And then, so this is cardstock and pattern paper. Here we're going through cardstock, so the shortbread's underneath, and then 2 layers of pattern paper. So with your thread, if you're hand doing it, it's going to be harder. But if you're doing it by hand, right, that's not a problem. If you're just doing with pens or something like that. Yeah, so if you're hand stitching, you want to really just minimize the number of layers. Okay. Okay, so this was a fun technique. You can even do it on cards, right? I could see doing this on cards. There was a stamp set that we had that was I don't know if it was like stitched together or something like that, was sewing themed. I have that stamp set, and that would be a really fun stamp set to sew on your cards. But if you do that, if you do on your card, you have to keep it in mind that you're going to see the stitching on the back. So you know, you don't want to stitch directly onto the card front. Because it will go through, and when you open the card up, you'll be able to see it, right? So like, if I had stitched, say I had stitched this, when I opened up the card, I'd be able to see the stitching. So what I would do is you see how this one, I have this white layer, white daisy, and then I've got the pine layer there. I would stitch that first and then adhere it to my card front. Okay, so then you won't be able to see it on the inside. Okay, next week I am going to do the Leaves and Sprigs collection. There's a whole bundle. You can get there's stencils. So these are stencils. There's an embossing folder. This is also embossed, so stencil and embossing. There's this thin cut, and then there's a stamp set. And I used the stamp set here. Okay, so we're going to be using the Leaves and Sprig set next week. Okay, so we'll be making, probably these two cards, maybe in a Christmas design, to go like this. Isn't this cute though? Okay, so the sprigs and leaves. And then the sketch for this week. This was my version for the sketch this week. So if you submitted some artwork, I put your name on the wheel for a prize at the end of the month. So if you're new, if you don't know about this, every month or every week I put a sketch layout or card on my page. If you submit artwork, I put your name on the wheel, and at the end of the month, I will draw for a winner and send you a prize. Okay, you can get added to the wheel every week. One week it's a layout, so this week it was this layout, and I used the storybook for when we went to the Renaissance Fair. You can use any papers or anything. Next week it will be a card. Okay, so keep an eye out for that. So thanks for joining. I'm glad I was able to be back in person this week. So if you didn't see last week, go back and watch. It wasn't live. I did a recorded process video that's on YouTube, but I did post a link on Facebook to the process video. But you could also go to my YouTube channel. Okay, thanks for joining me today. And this was a really simple layout. Again, you don't even have to do the stitching. Just, make this simple layout. And I used the Cozy Up collection, which is the August collection of the month. Okay, it's the autumn themed collection. So take a look at that. Okay, see you next week. Bye.